Welcome to the Shaker Heights Alumni Association Hall of Fame inductees ceremony. Today you will be hearing from 7 of 8 inductees that will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. This morning it is my privilege to introduce to you the president of the Shaker Heights Alumni Association, and I will do that in a moment. First, just some information about what the Alumni Association is all about. The Alumni Association really has 2 main focuses. One of those is what we are here about today, that is to each year to recognize past alumni that have done something significant. And another thing that they do is that they do offer scholarships for 2 seniors each year who have parents that are alumni who have obtained a GPA of 3.0 or greater. And they also do some things in which they help facilitate class reunions each year for our past alumni. And just so that all of you students are aware of this, obviously once you graduate from Shaker Heights High School, you will automatically be a Shaker Heights alumni. So today it is my privilege to introduce the president of the Shaker Heights Alumni Association, Mr. Richard Scheinfarber.
Thank you. Your vice principal just talked about doing something significant. Well, I did something significant last night. I came in very late for first we had a dinner last night and to honor these people and give them their plaques. But I came in very late because of a delay in an aircraft, and I came in wearing shorts and a t-shirt and knew that I had to change somewhere. So for the first time in my life, I changed in the girls' locker room. That's significant. There is a third thing that the Shaker Heights Alumni Association does, and I hope to see a couple of you next May where I can present to you a scholarship. But for the last 5 years, we have been giving scholarships to some very important, some very special Shaker graduates. And we've decided that it's about time that you, the students, can better have an idea of who has won these scholarships in the past. So to do that, we've had a plaque made which shows the students that have received the scholarships in the last 5 years, and I would like to present the plaque to your principal, Dr. Rumbaugh. Thank you. That's beautiful. You're welcome. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to your 1995 class president, Adina Wright. Adina?
Good morning. I would like to welcome everybody, and especially the class of 95. And I hope that some of the speeches made in this assembly will inspire you in some of your future career plans. Vivian Abrams Collins was a successful painter and artist whose works in acrylics and found objects creates paintings and assemblages that have their heart in geometry with a fresh perspective. This perspective is greatly influenced by her children, as she states, "My children are doing me a big favor. When you have children, you do a lot of reliving childhood experiences. My work is now less intellectual and more intuitive." A participant in many solo and group exhibitions, her work is found in collections such as the Cleveland Museum of Art, the Columbus Museum of Art and Sciences, and the Orange Museum of Contemporary Art. Ms. Collins, will you please come to the stage?
When I was a student at Shaker Heights High School, I never dreamed that in a million years I would be standing here talking to a group of students. My perfect day is alone in the studio in a big room with lots of tables in it and white walls. When I went to school, I had very good classes, especially, thank you. When I went to school, women were not encouraged to have careers. However, I still got an excellent grounding for my future needs. I loved my classes, especially my art classes. My father encouraged me to go to art school. And after taking art as an extra subject in high school, instead of taking study halls for 3 years, I did have enough work to get a portfolio together and get accepted into 2 art schools of my choice. When I finished Carnegie Institute of Technology, I wanted to go to graduate school, and I did not get into the graduate school of my choice. Nevertheless, I went to Mexico and went to art school there, and in 2 years received a master's degree there. You can continue your education wherever you want to continue it. When I returned from Mexico with a Master of Fine Arts degree, the only job I could get was working at Higbee's for $1.65 an hour as a temporary help. After a while, though, I was able to get a job teaching at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and then worked in their slide library, their photograph archives, and finally became director of the media department at the Cleveland Institute of Art. For 7 years, I worked there full-time, and after work every day, I went to my studio on Buckeye Road, and I worked there until late at night, and I worked there on weekends. I did not have a social life then, but I loved my work. There were some disappointments along the way. I wanted to get in the May show, and for my first few years back in Cleveland, I didn't. But 1 year I was accepted, and then I was accepted again. And after I moved to New York, I received an award I had always coveted, which was the first prize in painting at the Cleveland Museum May Show. When I moved to New York, I was able to sell enough of my work for prices that I did not have to have a job anymore. That was a very happy period in my life, and I received fellowships to some art colonies. I received some awards. At age 35, I realized that a career in art was not going to be enough to make me happy for the rest of my life. I was lonely. I was very, very lucky that I met somebody a few years later. And we got married when I was 39, and at 41 I had my first child, and at age 45 I had my second child. My perfect day is still working in the studio alone, but I'm very fortunate to be able to have my family also. I want to tell you all, if you have a talent, you're very fortunate, but you must develop that talent. You must be motivated to work as hard as you can, because it is the motivation and the hard work that are going to get the results that you want. Thank you.
Leonard E. Freiberg enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserves while he was attending Fenn College in 1943, after graduation with a BBA in Marketing and Advertising. He entered Officers Candidate School and launched his career in the military. His career took him to New Caledonia as a member of the 1st Raider Regiment in 1943, as well as to Hawaii and Okinawa. In 1969, he returned to the Far East as commander of the 11th Marine Expeditionary Brigade. He acted as technical advisor on the film Sands of Iwo Jima and did public relations and information duties for the Marines in Southern California. He advanced to the rank of Brigadier General in 1969. He had extensive executive experience, including director of the Marine Corps Reserves and acting Commander General of Camp Pendleton from 1974 until his retirement in 1991. Unfortunately, he passed away earlier this year. John Liebacher is director of the Global Oscillation Network Group project and tenured astronomer at the National Solar Observatory. He served as director of NSO from 1988 to 1993. Prior to joining NSO, he worked at the Lockheed Palo Alto Research Laboratory and also he worked in Paris. Dr. Liebacker received his ABA and PhD from Harvard University. Mr. Liebacker, will you please come to the stage?
Good morning, Shakerites. Good to be back here. Feel a karmic debt to this place. It's been 35 years since I've been up on the stage, not just to the building and the place, but to the teachers that put up with all the snot-nosed kids that we were, and I'm sure you're not today. Had a lot of good teachers. Met some of the teachers here today, Gene Zajac and the people in the planetarium, the science department. They really had an easy time, at least with me. I was motivated. That was fun. That was exciting stuff. If I had to apologize, don't like to apologize, but all the language teachers and the English teachers and the social sciences teachers that I really did give a hard time to, I'm really, really sorry. And I really am. I really regret that I didn't take that aspect of the educational experience here more seriously. In many ways, it's that harder part, harder for me, that really counted and that I miss and I look forward to catching up on. Well, they asked me to talk a little bit about what being a scientist, what being an astronomer was all about. If there are two homilies, two sort of corny lessons to be learned, I'd have to say it's eat your spinach. Always a dreadful, yucky thought. I remember the canned spinach with sliced hard-boiled egg in the cafeteria here. Awful stuff, awful stuff. What I mean, though, is those English classes, those language classes that I dreaded really turned out to be tremendously important. I ended up living for 3 years in France. Learning another culture, learning another way of thinking really was important. And I had the chance here, and I blew it. The other little lesson I'd like to leave you with, if I could, is reach for the stars. Obviously a little corny coming from an astronomer, but that's the sort of guy I am. What can I say? But don't just reach for the stars literally, but figuratively. I think you listen to the rest of the folks up here today. We've all had a dream, we've pursued it, and we've all achieved it in some way. Sometimes you just follow the breaks that life offers you, but if something you really want to do, I don't want to say you can do whatever you want to do, but if you follow your passions, if you really pursue the things that you like to do, you'll do them well, and you'll get feedback from society, whether it's professionally or socially or athletically, whatever. Find something you really like to do and try to do it well. In just a minute or two, as I say, I'm an astronomer. What's a scientist? What's an astronomer do? I mean, it's supposed to be heady stuff like, we discover the secrets of the universe and, what is this thing out there? What I do is study the sun. One of the great pleasures of my life, the thing that gets you the cover of Scientific American, nobody gets the Nobel Prize. The thing that got me the cover of Scientific American was discovering a way that the sun vibrates, the way sound waves run through the sun, and just discovered a whole new science called helioseismology, sort of like seismology here on the Earth, probing the inside of the Earth, where we can do the same thing in the sun now. We can peel back the layers of the sun and really see the invisible interior of the sun. That was really exciting. It's nice getting the recognition too. A lot of pretty pictures. Maybe even more satisfying, though, was being director of the National Solar Observatory. We have the 4 largest telescopes in the world. 150 scientists from around the world come each year to use the facilities and helping other people do science. It's sort of like being the conductor of the orchestra. By contributing to other people's work, you can really amplify your own efforts in an enormously successful way. A lot of reflected glory standing in the background, maybe a little bit like being a principal of a fine establishment like this. Again, in terms of reaching for the stars, there are millions of amateur astronomers out there. If you're lucky, you can get somebody to pay you to do what they do as a hobby. That's been my good fortune. But where I really blew it again was not eating my stupid spinach. Had a chance to live in Paris for 3 years, as I said. I just spent 3 years living on the 3 months living on the French Riviera. Really didn't take advantage of that opportunity here at Shaker as much as I might have. Critical thinking is taught in literature courses. things like that are enormously important. I really encourage you to pursue what you do best, but also look for that breadth that's out there. Look for the drama classes and the opportunities that school provides you. Maybe the closing thought would be, paraphrase another corny sort of homily that, to the effect that when I was younger, your age, I really respected clever people, people who could solve problems quickly like that. As I get older, I think I have a lot more respect for kinder people, people who think about other people and help others. I don't think they're really mutually exclusive. I think you can be clever and kind, and I encourage you all to pursue those stars. Thanks again for the opportunity to meet you today.
James A. Malone, a cum laude graduate of Ohio University, is probably best known for his Knuckleheads in the News feature on WMJI Radio, which he initiated in 1986. He is co-host of The Morning Show, Lanigan, Webster, and Malone. He volunteers time speaking to students in schools around the county and the importance of education and counseling against drug abuse. Jim and his wife, April, have established the Malone Humor Scholarship with the Cleveland Scholarship Program. Scholarships are awarded to students who have been accepted to college and who have a good sense of humor. Mr. Malone, please come to the stage.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me here today. John is a very difficult act to follow. He does stuff I can't even pronounce, and I'm known as a knucklehead, so what can I do? But we'll make the most of it. It is a real honor to have an opportunity to stand in front of you and speak today. One of the hardest things to think of is what can I say to high school students that they don't already know? Because if you're like me, when I was in high school, I thought I knew everything, and it was nothing for anyone to tell me. It wasn't until I got out of high school I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I did. You have a tremendous opportunity in front of you. As we look out here, we are looking basically at the future of our country. Right now, we are trying as best we can to run the country, to make something out of it, and one day we'll turn it over to you, and hopefully you'll do a better job of it than we have done. And coming out of Shaker Heights High, you'll have a tremendous opportunity to do that. One of the unfortunate things about life, I think, is that whatever stage of life you're in, you can't appreciate it. At home, I have a daughter. She's a year old. All she has to do is sleep, eat, play with her toys, and wait for me to change her diaper. But she can't really appreciate that. And when she gets to elementary school, she'll look back on this and say, wow, I had it made. And she'll say, now I have it tough. I have to learn how to read, how to spell, how to do math, and take my lunch to school. And she'll think that's kind of hard. And she won't appreciate how easy elementary school was until she gets to junior high. And then she'll look back on elementary school, as some of you may look back on junior high school and think it was a lot easier than high school. And then finally, when you get to college, you look back on high school and say, it was a lot of fun, it wasn't that bad. What a great education I got at Shaker Heights High. And that's what happened to me. While I was going to school here, I didn't really appreciate Shaker Heights High. I had heard a lot about it. I'd read about it in the paper. They'd say it's a great school, it's one of the best in the country. To me, I was just going to school. I couldn't see anything special about Shaker. It's not until I got to college, and I hope all of you will go to college, that I could look back on what I learned at Shaker and realize what a heck of a school it was. Kids who were just average students at Shaker went on to college and excelled. Kids who were just average students at Shaker would go to college and be better prepared than some of the honor students from other schools across the country. My first year of college, in an English class, the teacher said, we're going to do a term paper. I was stunned at how many students had never heard of a term paper. But I had to do one right here at Shaker. So for me, the term paper was a breeze. Almost everything that came up in college was almost, the first year of college was almost like repeating high school for me, where other kids were having a heck of a hard time. You really are going to one of the finest schools in the country, and I hope you can take advantage of that. Your teachers here are probably some of the best. The fact you're going to an integrated school is a very important asset. I really think the difference in my life, the success of my life, has come from being in an integrated environment. It's important to have your own pride about your own racial background or whatever, but it's a big world out there. You're going to be working together with people of all different backgrounds, and the sooner you get started on it, the better off you're going to be. And Shaker Heights prepares you very well for that. So you have this opportunity. I hope you'll take advantage of it. I hope you'll all go on to college. Look back on these days with a lot of fond memories like I do. I was on this stage at a talent show trying to sing, did okay, and then somebody else who's going to hear from later on came behind me and did it a whole lot better. But I still had a lot of good times here. All the people assembled here have done something with their lives, and I really think the key, it all comes back to the fact we had a chance to go to Shaker Heights. Your parents have probably, many of your parents have made some sacrifice. Many of your parents have made some sacrifice so you could live in this school district and go to this school. They could spend money on other things, but they wanted to buy a house or rent a house in Shaker Heights so you could go to Shaker Heights High. You're going to one of the best schools in the country. Take advantage of it, and I hope you all have a wonderful life. Thanks very much.
Kasumi is a multi-talented artist who studied calligraphy in Japan, music in Germany, and painting at Washington University. She lived in Japan for 10 years, during which time she taught at the Tokyo College of Music. She has performed around the world as a soloist on the lute and has performed twice in Carnegie Hall. She has recorded 5 albums, has written a number of books and articles in both English and Japanese, and she is an artist whose work is in collections in the United States, Japan, and Germany. In addition, a film soundtrack she recorded in Japan was nominated for an Academy Award. She currently does production design for the Cleveland Playhouse, is on the faculty of Cleveland State University, Cleveland Institute of Music, and Case Western Reserve University, and is currently in pre-production on a motion picture.
I haven't grown since high school, obviously. They're playing some of my music here, which I no longer do. What I'd like to talk about is what you do. And I really would like to ask you, how many of you do things in the arts? I mean, theater or painting or sculpting or writing or anything? Yeah, a lot of people. Now, my question is, okay, now that it's established, and also last spring I got to see the ensemble recommended from someone at the Cleveland Playhouse that I should come and see a performance here. The last program this spring, it was fabulous. If any of you were in it, it was great. Now, my real question is, how many of you intend to continue this artwork and make it a career in your life? Numbers are dropping here, okay. So you people, that's who I'm talking to. Okay, the rest of you can fall asleep. Okay, when I was at Shaker, I did all of these things. I played music, I was in thespians, I drew cartoons for the Shaker, right? I was on Saman team and I did all this artistic stuff, and occasionally I did some homework. But there was always an expectation that I would go to a real life. I would get a real job after school. I mean, after graduation. And even after I made records, played at Carnegie Hall and all that stuff, people kept asking me, well, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to settle down? But I kept doing what I wanted to do. And then after the 4th album and the 2nd book and the 50th or so art show and plays and exhibits and concerts, people didn't stop asking, but I just stopped listening. Because, and maybe you were smart enough, some of you are smart enough to know this already, that reality, what real life was, my real job was what I had constructed for myself. And not, it's like each of us is like a work of art, and we invent ourselves all by ourselves. Our parents don't do it. I mean, they have a little role in it, but they don't control or label you. Your friends don't, your critics don't. Your teachers, your family, they can help you, but they can't label you and control what you do in your lives. Since I lived in other countries, I learned this even more. You live in another country, you have a other world experience. You speak another language, you eat different foods, you live a different style, and you really lose your own culture. And you learn that one is not more valid than the other. And it also goes for art. One form of art is not any more valid than the other. One job is not any more valid than the other. So when people tell you to get a real job, tell them it's real. And then because you invent and create yourself, you're responsible for what you do. You only have yourself to judge your own work. You don't wait for a critic to tell you your work is great, because they don't know. Your standards are the highest for yourself, and you are really your own toughest critic. And you know when your work stinks and when it's great. Only you know that. So my little rules for living, which I'll change tomorrow probably, are do be honest with yourself. I mean, don't lie to yourself. Do your best. Don't let anyone label or categorize you. That's death. Ignore mean and jealous people because there are tons of them. There were in high school and there are in later life. Don't trust the system or any systems because they don't work. They really do not work to benefit the individual. And have fun in this lifetime because in the next one you may come back as a cockroach. And that's it.
Thank you.
Betty Downs Fettinger comes from a family of strong women. Her grandmother was an active suffragette and advocate of women's rights. Her mother served on the Shaker Heights School Board for 16 years, and her daughter is a sea captain and instructor on a tall ship training vessel. In 1976, she was raising 2 children when her husband walked out and she was left to find a job and support the family. When the company she was working for as a secretary failed, she decided it was time to start her own business. Beacon Metal Fabricators is that company, a fully equipped custom sheet metal job shop specializing in stainless steel.
"45 years ago, I was sitting in your place. It's a long time ago, isn't it? Well, it is, but a lot of changes have been made. In 1949, the year I graduated, minimum wage increased from 40 cents an hour to 70 cents an hour. The average yearly income was $2,929. The first job I got after college, they paid me $39 a week. The average new car cost $1,420. A new house cost $7,450. Amazing, isn't it? I feel very fortunate to be able to be part of the acceptance of women in business and have been able to take advantage of the advancement and strides women have made in the last 25 years. There have not been many women in my generation that have been able to break the glass ceiling. However, I did. I am an entrepreneur, defined by Webster as one who recognizes an opportunity and is willing to take the risks with the necessary dedication. When I was 35, I found myself divorced with 2 children. My life changed drastically, and I began my business career out of necessity. Fate, in many ways, determined my future. In 1987, I seized the opportunity and pursued the challenge of going into business for myself. This was a tremendous risk because I was investing my future and all the money I had in the world on my ability to start and run a business. Was I prepared? And did I have the necessary knowledge? It wasn't easy. No bank wanted to lend a woman money for a startup manufacturing company, especially in a male-dominated industry. And after I went approaching 15 banks, I finally found a bank that would lend me the money. The rest is history. My company, Beacon Metal Fabricators, has grown in 7 years, and we are projecting almost $1 million in sales in 1994. Clearly, this would not have happened in 1949. I am proud that I've had the advantage of excellent role models. My grandmother was an active suffragette, and my mother was active in the schools and served on the Shaker Heights School Board for 16 years. My daughter, Virginia, is a sea captain, and aside from the duties of a captain, she is an instructor in celestial navigation. And in 1992, I watched my daughter with pride as she piloted her tall ship into the celebration of Columbus's crossing in the New World, the 500-year anniversary. The 4 generations of women in my family have chose occupations that are a terrific challenge and succeeded in fields where few women have entered. Women have made progress in the world. However, there is still progress to be made. Even when Forbes magazine featured me in an article as an entrepreneur recently, they felt it necessary to use the angle, a grandmother made it to the top. Now I ask you, would you ever see grandfather made it to the top? I don't think so. I think working is a privilege. Work gives you a sense of identity, which gives you self-esteem, confidence, and motivation to do your best and take pride in your work. Work has opened a whole new vista for me, enabling me to discover new talents and capabilities I never knew I had. I am a living testimony that it's never too late and you are never too old. You can do anything you put your mind to. Good luck to all of you.
Sherry Lehman is an expert on treating problems pertaining to love, family relationships, and sex. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist, certified sex therapist, and a licensed professional clinical counselor in private practice in Cleveland, Ohio. She is a member of the gender team at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine, University Hospital, and Metro Health Medical Center. She has appeared on local, regional, and national television and radio talk shows, including The Phil Donahue Show, Good Morning America, and her articles have appeared in USA Today, New Women, and Reader's Digest. Her second book was entitled It Was Better in the Backseat, and it was published this spring. She is a regular on Channel TV8, Good Day Cleveland, and has a weekly show on KTKR Radio in San Antonio, Texas. She is currently working on a third book.
You like that? It was better in the back seat, right? I was going to tell you, that's what I got at Shaker Lakes. But I don't know if you still do that. I did get other things at Shaker. Good things, educational. But it's interesting, when I thought back and I was coming up with that title, I did remember those times, once the police even had the flashlight in the window. In those days, we really only went to first or second base. It was a long time ago. Actually, I came to Shaker in my junior year. I came from Ashtabula, Ohio. And I walked in the door, and I remember some kids standing there, and they said, "What are you?" Because I really didn't look like anything they had known. I came from a small town thinking, and came into Shaker, which was such an elite high school. And there, for 2 years, I was bombarded with education, involvement, motivation, and really, I think it set the path for the rest of my life. I was president of Future Teachers of America, and I was also in the Junior Council of World Affairs, and I was doing a little research for my future career. Little did I know that I was going to go from Teenager of the Week to Sex Therapist of the Year. And the path in between has been long, difficult, exciting, creative, and really beyond my wildest dreams. I remember the first time I picked up the phone and called television station here in Cleveland, and I said, "I think I have something you want. I want to be on TV." And that was about 16 years ago. And since then, I've been fortunate to have a career in television and radio, write books, and really have, I think, a pretty exciting life. Not only do I do that, though, but I talk to people about love and relationships and how to overcome hard times, because certainly I have had hard times, very hard. I went through divorce, I have a handicapped child, I fought a life-threatening illness, and the big thing I want to leave you with is that life, some of it is what you make of it, but it's also what you do with what happens to you. Overcoming obstacles and hardships, nobody has a life that's untouched by that. So if you've had failures and you've had tough times, join all of us, because we all have and will. I think I've had a love affair with humor, learning, motivation, being involved, and with life. And I ask you to join me in that celebration and have a love affair with all those for the rest of your life. Thank you.
Gerald Levert is a solo artist and part of the popular R&B trio Levert, along with his brother Sean and longtime friend Mark Garden. The group has had 6 gold albums and 7 top hits, including Casanova and Just Coolin'. Involved with the creative responsibilities of his production company, Treble Production, he writes and produces songs for stars such as Anita Baker, Stephanie Mills, James Ingram, and Mickey Howard, and is busy managing 5 new groups, including the Rude Boys and Men at Large. Would you please come to the stage?
What's happening? I said, what's up? All right. Shaker. Man, I remember singing on the stage, getting booed a couple times. But I had a lot of fun here. I learned a lot. I was basically a loner. I didn't really do much. I didn't really get into many activities here and stuff. I just basically, Mr. Harley there helped me a lot with my singing, you know. Mr. Harley. Give it up for Mr. Harley, y'all. Give it up to him. Hey, Mr. Harley, I remember this. Here's an 8-bar situation with the usual syncopation and scored for voices. It's too early. Unaccompanied on the, come on. But that's what we used to sing in this vocal class that we had with Mr. Harley. But had a lot of fun here. I learned a lot, and I just want everybody to know that, you know, you got to think positive. Just be positive about what you want to do, where you want to go. It's not about, nobody can make you do anything. You know what I'm saying? You have to want to do it. It's like I didn't want to go to college. And I think college is for some people, and college is, you know, for most of you, college is good. But for some people, you have other ideas and other things that you want to pursue. But if you're going to pursue those things, you have to be very real about it and very true to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like singing. I was very true to it. I didn't have step. I didn't, you know, expect anything because my dad was a singer or because my dad was doing this. I worked hard. I wrote songs. I found out, I read books. I found out about management. I found out about publishing. And getting into the music business, that's something you should understand. There's more to this business than just singing. It's more to the business than the money, which is a very important part, though. But it's more to the business than just that. It is a business, you know. There's publishing, there's management, there's production. There's, I mean, so many things, so many aspects of this business that you really need to know to get to and really understand it. And it's rough, you know, and anybody pursuing any kind of goal, you know, it's going to be rough, but you got to be true to it, and you got to be real about it. And I want to say that, you know, it's an honor, you know, for me to have, you know, to achieve this status and for, you know, Shaker to acknowledge me. This is my 10th year of being a graduate of Shaker High. So, I mean, I feel real good about it, and I feel real positive. And they wanted me to sing a song, but it's getting late, so I think maybe I should go sit down. It's too early, y'all. It's way too early. Did they get the tape? Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attempt to sing something this early in the morning. This is a song that was produced by a guy named David Foster. This guy, David Foster, produced the Bodyguard soundtrack for Whitney Houston, produced a lot of Chicago things, and everybody. This guy's got lots and lots of money. When I talk about concentrating on making it, you know,
this guy really worked hard. He's got a, you know, a wall full of platinums and golds. So I'm gonna attempt to sing it with the record. I didn't have time to get the track. I've been in the studio since 5 this morning, and I don't believe I got up this early. And I'm gonna attempt this. I got time? I knew y'all would make time for that. I thought everybody had a short time. Play the music, man. I'm gonna sing with the song, so I'll have help if I mess up. I'm waiting for someone who could turn my life around, for someone who could make me feel the way I used to feel, but she never comes. Oh no, no, I'm searching, but there's no one that I'd care to talk about. And all the lovers in the world don't amount to much, 'cause what I really want is just one true love, and I'd give anything and everything to fall in love. Just this one time, I'd like to find what I've been dreaming of. Well, I could find someone to hold me, but that wouldn't be enough. But I'd give anything to fall in love. I'd rather not be sleeping by myself, staring at the wall. I question it all. Will she ever come? Will she ever come? And I'd give anything and everything to fall in love. Just this one time, I'd like to find what I've been dreaming of. Well, I could find someone to hold me, but that wouldn't be enough. I'd give anything to fall in love. That's all I'm doing, no more.
Thank you very much. You know, these alumni today have talked to you about their lessons of life. They have also shown you a valuable lesson as I sat here and thought. When I was at Orville High School near Worcester before I came to Shaker Heights, an alumni from there by the name of Bobby Knight was invited to an awards ceremony, but, quote, couldn't come. A lesson that these people have shown you today is that when you are going to be honored someplace, it's an imperative characteristic of character to appear and appear gladly. So I would like to say thank you very much for being here. You may now go to your third period classes. Thank you very much.